This is Priesthood Sunday here in the United States, and it falls within this Year of the Priest worldwide, which began last June and continues until this coming June 2010, this Year of the Priest. And these times ask us to be grateful to Jesus for sharing his priesthood with us, so that we could continue to do what he did at the Last Supper, transforming ordinary bread and ordinary wine into himself. This is my body. This is my blood. Do this in memory of me. I am grateful that the Lord has shared his priesthood with me in the sacrament of holy orders. I was ordained 34 plus years ago, and I'm thankful. I'm also grateful to the Lord for allowing me to minister as his priest among you here at St. Joseph Parish, Avon Lake, for the last 14 years. Seminarians, young men studying to become priests, are visiting parishes here in our diocese on this Priesthood Sunday to offer a personal reflection on priesthood. As you know, we have 3 seminarians here from our parish. John Schneider this weekend is at Immaculate Conception Parish in Madison, Ohio, where his uncle, Father Sean Donnelly, is the pastor. Scott Goodfellow is at St. Albert the Great Parish in North Royalton, and here with us today is Lou Balzer, who will offer us a reflection, a personal reflection after communion. In today's gospel, Bartimaeus, who is blind, meets Jesus. He calls out to Jesus, "Jesus, Son of David, have pity on me." And Jesus calls him, and Jesus says to him, "What do you want me to do for you?" And Bartimaeus replies, "Master, I want to see." And Jesus says, "Go your way, your faith has saved you." And Bartimaeus received the gift of sight, and he went his way and followed Jesus. I'm sure that you and I pray like Bartimaeus did so often. Lord, I want to see. Lord, help me to understand. Lord, please, show me the way. The Lord is sending us a guide to show us the way in the person of Matthew Kelly. Matthew will be giving our parish retreat in just a week and a half from now, November 4th, 5th, and 6th, a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, from 7 o'clock in the evening until 8 o'clock in the evening. It will be a different talk each night. I would encourage all of you to come. His talks will be geared towards people from about age 12 to 112. And I'd like to offer a personal invitation to the youth of our parish to come and be part of this event, and to please invite someone to come with you. And I can guarantee that all of you in the parish and beyond the parish who come will be thanking me later on for encouraging you to do so. Matthew Kelly is 36 years old. He was born in Sydney, Australia, as his delightful accent reveals. He has been on the bestseller list. He is a powerful speaker, and he is a devout Catholic. I thought I would share some of my time with you today with Matthew Kelly, so that in hearing him, you can get a feel for who he is and how he comes across. We're going to listen right now to a few minutes of Matthew Kelly, who is providing some answer to that question, why do I have to go to Mass every Sunday? It's so boring. Let's hear now from Matthew Kelly.
What is the most common thing we hear said about the Mass today? It's boring. We're used to hearing it from little kids. We've heard it from little kids for generations. The disturbing reality amongst modern Catholics is that more and more adults are saying that Mass is boring. Kids are coming to their parents now and saying, Mom, Dad, do we have to go to church? Church is boring. You know what parents are thinking to themselves? They're thinking it, they're not saying it. They're thinking to themselves, you know what, kid? You're right. Mass is boring, but we're going to go together and be bored. It's a family tradition. We got a problem here, people. There are 1.2 billion Catholics on the planet. There are almost 70 million Catholics in America. The central experience of Catholicism is the Mass, and most people think it's boring. We got a problem. We got to address it desperately. We've been trying to cover it up and band-aid it here and band-aid it there. We haven't got to the heart of the matter yet. We've been trying to do that for longer than I've been alive. We got a problem here, people, and if we can't get to this one, we can't get to it. Like I say, we've been trying to get to it, but we missed the point. I try to address it in my book, Rediscovering Catholicism. Imagine this. You're driving home from work next Monday after a long day and you turn on your radio, you hear a little blurb about a village in India where 3 or 4 people have suddenly died from a flu that's never been seen before. You don't think too much about it. But coming home from church the following Sunday, you hear another spot on the radio. Only now they say, it's not 3 or 4 people dead, but 30,000 people dead in the Black Hills of India. By Monday morning when you get up, it's the lead story. Only now they say it's not just India, but Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iran, Iraq, Turkey, Northern Africa, and everybody's wondering, how are we going to contain this thing? France closes its borders, but it's too late, and the disease breaks out in Paris. Britain closes its borders, but it's too late, and the disease breaks out in Southampton, Liverpool, London. Panic strikes, as best they can tell. After you contract the disease, you have it for 1 week before you even know it. Then you have 4 days of unbelievable symptoms, and then you die. And it's Tuesday morning when the President of the United States makes the following announcement. Due to a national security risk, all flights to and from America have been cancelled. If you have loved ones overseas, I'm sorry, they cannot come home. They cannot come home until we find a cure for this thing. Within 4 days, America is plunged into an unbelievable fear. People are wondering, what if it comes to this country? Preachers on television are saying it's the scourge of God. And on Wednesday, you're at church for a meeting when someone runs in from the parking lot screaming, turn on a radio. And while everyone listens to a small radio, the announcement is made that 2 women are lying in a hospital in New York, dying of the mystery flu. It's come to America. People are working around the clock trying to find an antidote, but nothing is working. The disease envelops the country. Breaks out in California, Oregon, Arizona, Florida, Massachusetts. It's as though it's just sweeping in from the borders. And then all of a sudden the news comes out. The code has been broken. A cure can be found. A vaccine can be made. But it's going to take the blood of somebody who hasn't been infected. And so all of us, we're asked to go to our downtown hospital. Sure enough, by the time you and I get down there, it's late Friday night and they've got long lines of people. They've got doctors and nurses coming out and taking blood and putting labels on it. They take your blood and they say, wait here in the parking lot. And you stand around with your friends, with your family, waiting, wondering, scared, thinking to yourself, what on earth is going on here? Thinking to yourself, how did it ever come to this? Wondering to yourself, could this be the end of the world? And then suddenly, a young man comes racing out of the hospital. He's screaming a name and waving a clipboard. You don't hear him at first. He screams the name again. You don't hear him again. But then your son tugs at your jacket and says, Dad, that's me they're calling. Before you know it, they've grabbed your son. They're racing him into the hospital. You say, well, wait a minute. Hold on. Where are you going? What are you doing? They turn around and they say, it's okay. His blood it's clean. It's perfect. We think he's got the right blood type. We just need to make sure one more time that he doesn't have the disease. 5 minutes later, out come the doctors and nurses, crying and hugging.